So Delhi's air pollution crisis is no longer just a seasonal inconvenience now. It's becoming a public health emergency. Now, from stricter rules under GRAP for being made permanent to even professionals citing, pollution as a reason to step away from work, the impact is being felt across society. The big question now is not just about curbs, but also about sustainable long-term solutions. Joining us now is Bhavrin Kandari, environmentalist, to discuss what really needs to change and how Delhi can, move from emergency measures to lasting reforms. Welcome to the show, Bhavrin.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate. And also this conversation that, of course, has begun with one, resignation.
Yes,
and
yes,
of course,
yes. So I was coming to that only. So, that's a very striking development that has come in. A senior pharma executive, for our viewers, to put in context, who heads the finance team, has tendered his resignation, citing Delhi's air pollution and health issues. And he has clearly stated, and I can quote him, that kindly relieve me ASAP. So now how alarming is it? And that pollution is now, directly impacting the livelihoods and also forcing such extreme personal decisions. And also if someone in a senior corporate role is compelled to step away from, from health for health reason, what does that really tell us about the larger invisible health burden, Delhi's residents are carrying every single day?
Yes, that's exactly that. When a senior professional has spoken, at least this conversation has begun. And, it's not about just the general or public or even the underprivileged, So air pollution is not just an, environmental or a health problem. It's also a social and economic equity crisis. I'd like to stress on that here. Take this opportunity. And if we every year with a GRAP, how many days of work that are lost, for the daily wage workers and the low income communities. All this they cannot typically work from home or move locations during high smog. For that matter, even most of the privileged also cannot leave their homes and or make a bold decision like this. It's really not possible. So, when cities declare pollution emergencies, then it's these workers who are hit first, and the low-income households, they spend a huge share of income, also on healthcare, etc. Because, as you know, a lot more biomass burning begins, and they don't have a choice, or they're also cooking in the same. Even if they are clean cooking, they're in one room, So all that income inequality kind of starts showing. So, of course, the privileged, can install air purifiers and think that they escape, but it doesn't work like that. So this is how the socioeconomic effects, at the micro level start affecting, loss of work hours and loss of income, etc. At the macro level, you'll be surprised to know that almost. India loses about $95 billion in annual economic losses, which is again what I've said just now, like the reduced productivity on a loss of work hours, premature deaths. So this could, if working on clean air, bringing back clean air, would roughly mean that we would gain 3% of India's GDP. And this is huge. I'm sure, how saying it makes me feel so much, better. So, even for Delhi, for that matter, at the epicenter of the crisis, you could see losses up to almost 6% of the GDP annually.
Absolutely.
So, it's not only about the micro. We are seeing the micro, the socioeconomic effects, and the macro, and
yes.
The broader impacts with the business, the tourism, the consumer footfall,
Yes.
all this finally, shows all the suppression starts beginning. I mean, we've had the film industry, they've refused to come and, do shootings in Delhi, those kind of things that we are not even considering right now.
It has been affecting, the state's micro and macroeconomic situation, rightly pointed out. And also, the Delhi government has now decided to make 2 GRAP 4 measures permanent, including denying fuel without a valid PUCC from an environmental standpoint. So is this a strong and necessary move or a reaction to years of delayed action?
No, now we can't say reaction, because considering that they have, the good decision is that they are first time taking decisions for the whole year, which is important. Whatever you do should last. We are living in air pollution throughout the year.
Yeah.
It's not about these 2 months or 3 months. So that itself is a positive direction. But whether the PUC is effective or not, between you and me, we all know how that piece of paper is so easy to get. So there needs to be strengthening on that. Rather, the PUC has to be eradicated, and you have to come to something more technological and big, like which is the real time data, which on emissions, etc., which is world over it's very successful, and the Delhi government is apparently working on it. So sooner the better, because relying on PUC could be a problem. And again, the BS6 move is, of course, again a good move. And again, this is not allowing anything lesser, or trucks throughout the year is important. Any action right now on vehicular emissions, on construction, everything has to be throughout the year. It will these reactive measures for 2 months and 4 weeks or 6 weeks is not going to help.
Absolutely.
So that, of course, is welcome.
So finally, Pavreen, if Delhi is serious about avoiding a future where pollution-related resignations become, the norm, so what 2 or 3 non-negotiable steps must the government, take beyond seasonal firefighting?
Everything is about enforcement. Everything. We have the laws. We have to understand that everything right now is about compliances and how you are going to deal with it. Because even as of now, whether it was a GRAP 1, 2, 3, 4, you're incinerating waste in the name of waste to energy, or you have industrial pollution coming from everywhere, from Bahadurgarh, Tikri, all the neighbors in Gurgaon, in Noida, so the NCR, everyone, all these states will have to come together. They will have to work with an airshed approach. They will have to communicate with each other. They will have to work on these violations. Repeated violations should not go, just with penalizing. There should be prosecution. We are talking about health, and now we are talking about wealth also. So
Yes.
it has to be, aggressively taken care of.